right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, to a breakdown of a breakdown. Ludwig does not get the gig. Notre Dame makes itself look bad. Let's break it down edition of the Always Irish Show. Here's the deal. We did the morning live stream call-in show. A lot of raw emotion from myself, from the callers, from the chatters. It was a very hot and heated discussion with a lot of emotion. Now that we're a bunch of hours removed from that, I feel like I'm in a better position to logically speak about this stuff with a little less emotion. For me, I don't know how that's going to play out, but here's what I'm going to do. I have broken this down after seeing and hearing everything that went on my radio show this morning, seeing more on Twitter, reading what people are saying. There's some things that need to be straightened out here. There are some people not getting the point. And I don't know whether they're intentionally not getting the point or really just don't get the point. But we're going to break this down. I have five big issues with this process and what has happened. And I want to get it out. Not on my 2-hour live stream where it's hard to tell exactly what I'm saying. Other people are talking. This is important moving forward. So I want to get this out. I got five problems I have with this specific dynamic. And I'm going to make it quick. I already did 2 hours earlier today, but I think being concise and specific in this matter is critically important. So thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on. You'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish. You're at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can get me. Call-in line. People were burning it up, folks. 312-900-8815. Tell Johnny all you heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire. Get there every day. Make it a part of your Notre Dame media routine. All right. So, as everybody knows by now, not only is Notre Dame not hiring Ludwig from Utah, but it came out that the main hurdle was that Notre Dame was not willing to pay Utah to buy him out. I believe $2.8 million was the number I saw. So that's kind of where we ended up after all the media reports that he was the number one target, after everybody knew he was in South Bend, after he went on a public date with Notre Dame guys to the hockey game and everybody saw them there. All right. All the way up to Harry leaving, which I'm still unclear on the dynamics of exactly how that went. Was that tied to this process? Tommy leaving, who the new OC was going to be? I don't know. But there's a lot of questions. So it's one thing to say Notre Dame and Ludwig talked. He decided to stay back in Utah. If that was it, we're still mad, but we're having a very different discussion. And I want to be clear about that. The issue is specifically Notre Dame not being willing to pony up the money it takes to hire the best assistants available that your head coach, that your job is to support, wants. And not only that you didn't hire them and weren't willing to go there and pay that money, but the fact that Notre Dame let it get to the point of public embarrassment is my issue as well. There are levels to this. All right, so let's get into this. I'm going to make this short. I want to be specific. My 5 problems with this. Number 1, this has been driving me nuts all day, and it makes no sense. I've seen a lot of people and read a lot online. People saying most people didn't know who Andy Ludwig was a week ago. It's not like he's the best guy I've ever heard of in America. Everybody is in love with him. Household brand name. $2.8 million seems like a lot. Andy Ludwig's not a name you go spend 2.8 on, and it's not that big of a deal. Here is the problem with that entire way of thinking. The name is irrelevant. The individual name being mentioned is not a part of this thought process to me at all in any way. The name does not matter. What matters is you not supporting your head coach's first choice for this, and not only not supporting it, but letting it go on long enough that when it fell through, it became a national storyline embarrassment. Are you following me here? Oh, I don't know Andy Ludwig until the last week. You can't get, the name doesn't matter. The fact that the administration is not supporting the head coach they're supposed to empower and surround with the best staff possible is the problem. Not the name. It's the concept that they're not supporting who the head guy wants. And secondarily, they let it go on long enough that it became a big deal that it was going to be that he was going to be the guy. And then this all blew up into a media problem. Not just we met and we decided that he's going to stay at Utah. I'm mad then, but not this mad. So that's number one. I can't be more clear. The individual's name does not matter at all. The concept of not supporting your guy's pick and letting it lead on and get public like this is the issue. That leads me to number two. Somewhere here, and I don't know where, but it's clear to me, somewhere here, the process Notre Dame was using was flawed. Something went wrong, and I don't know exactly where yet, but something went horribly wrong with a couple things. Here's number one. It's certainly possible Harry just wanted to be with his family and whatever, and that's legit. I do think it's weird that he comes out of retirement. I don't think that was a one-year plan. So I don't know whether that was tied to Tommy Rees or him and Freeman or what's been rumored that Ludwig wanted to bring his own offensive line guy here. And then Harry said, all right, well, in that case, even if that wasn't stated, but he knew it was a writing on the wall or thought it, he would step down. I don't know that dynamic. But I do know that the timing on that makes you wonder how linked these things were. So the process here was backwards on everything. Number one, how is before Ludwig comes to Notre Dame and we see him at the hockey game and all that smoke builds about this, how was that 2.8 number not already talked about right away, first thing on the phone before the guy even came here? That I want an answer. Notre Dame people, the Mendoza School of Business, I'm supposed to genuflect to. You geniuses didn't talk about that before you brought the guy here and made a big media circus of it. Who messed this up? Who, and I want a name. Who in the hell messed this up? Is it Jack or is it somebody else? Who messed this up and screwed your new coach and made him look bad? Who is it? Okay? So the process here was flawed somewhere. That 2.8, if that was a hurdle, it should have been talked about and figured out before the guy ever stepped foot on campus. Because the second he steps foot on campus, it lends legitimacy to everything. You bring him on a public date to the hockey game, you're setting yourself up for a PR nightmare if it falls through. So if this buyout number was an issue, it should have been one of the first things discussed in private to avoid all this if it was something they couldn't overcome, and then none of us know that. Right? Notre Dame might know it, but I wouldn't know it, that that's what it was. So that was a mistake. If it's tied to this, that Harry left, that's a double compounded mistake now. Because you got out of your britches and let Harry leave before you had the new guy on paper. So if that was a part of it, that's a big misstep too. So the process here was messed up somewhere. And I don't know exactly where, but we have multiple cart before the horse scenarios here. So that process failed. So your fancy Mendoza College of Business and all that, get back to hitting the books because you guys messed this one up. So That's number two. The process Notre Dame screwed up. You had multiple issues here with timing and bad communication between everybody. Number three, practically, you've created multiple problems now. Ludwig was the best option of the guys interested and available for all the reasons we've all been talking about. Balanced offense, 40 years on the job, beating USC, developing quarterbacks. At 58 years old, not looking for a head job, could be around until retirement, be a guiding force for Freeman on the offense, all of that. So practically, I think he was the best fit, and so you missed out on that. And secondarily, now you have an offensive line problem too. That's practically, you're in a mess now. All right? Now, here's number four. We talked about practically the mess we're in, coming up to spring ball and all that. Now you have all these loose ends, all right? And when you're in panic mode, you make big decisions, rash decisions, you compromise on things for speed. I can't have Notre Dame and Freeman in that position, but it's where they're going to be at. So practically now you've created two problems in this dynamic. Number four is perception. And this matters to me in a couple different ways. Number one is Notre Dame is not looked at as a serious contender for football for this reason. Like, they're not willing to go all the way to do what it takes to win. And that's Notre Dame's reputation. That's why a lot of fan bases don't take us seriously. That's why a lot of other fans don't take us seriously. It comes off as small-timey when a guy that fits this well, you can't buy out from Utah. All right? So the perception that Notre Dame is not serious about elite winning comes from actions like this. That's why that stereotype exists on us, is things like this. All talk, no action. Championship standards, they talk about it all the time, this and that, and the standard and gold and this and that. Championship talk, they charge championship prices. You can't buy out an assistant coach from Utah. And worse than that, you can't even keep it quiet. That's a fail across the board. So the perception that you're not going to be taken seriously, this is why it exists. It's a bad look. Secondly, with perception, whoever does get this job already comes in and everybody knows it wasn't even the first, maybe not even the second choice, depending on who you listen to with Colin Klein stuff and then Ludwig. So now you're in a situation where this guy's already, people know, second or third fiddle, and then you're asking how good of a fit is this versus a desperation need. All right? So those are two perceptual problems that this caused that I have a huge, huge issue with. But this is why Notre Dame is laughed at when we want to be taken more seriously as an elite contender, and we're not. The on-field results are certainly a part of it. So are things like this. Justifiably so. It makes us look small-timey, nickel and dimey, and genuinely not interested in furthering the program in football. Okay, that's how it comes off. And number five problem I have with this is it is a direct slap in the face to Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman's trying his ass off to do everything he can in his power to modernize this program. He's a recruiting maniac. He's doing a great job threading the needle of being modern but honoring the Notre Dame message and values. He is doing everything he can to make the program more elite. And this was a big slap in his face. And so if I'm Freeman, I have a lot of hostility right now and frustration and anger that the people that are supposed to be helping him the most are not. And again, I want to repeat this. Just saying 2.8, we're not willing to do that for an OC is one thing. Letting that get public and letting the smoke build bringing a guy out to the hockey game. Notre Dame set themselves up for a public PR nightmare. And that's unacceptable. Mendoza's School of Business, all you smart guys that know how to handle all this stuff, you failed. So it's a total insult to Freeman across the board. Maybe he's more mature than I am and how he's going to process and handle this. I would not be happy. And you better be careful, because if this guy gets a lot better at coaching very quickly, he's going to be the next guy on the Tommy Rees, Brian Kelly train out of here, somewhere where they're serious about trying to win. They don't just say they are and then not act like it. So that's what I have. Those are my 5 issues. Who he is doesn't matter. It's not the point of this. Number 2, the process was flawed and messed up. Number 3, practically, you've created 2 big nightmares. Perceptually, you created 2 more. And on top of it, you insulted this coach giving his all. I don't know what Notre Dame's up to. I don't know exactly who to blame for this. May not even be Swarbrick. Maybe some dork, nerd, pencil pusher who's against football because he thinks it's all meatheady, who's counting the beans over there. And there's a lot of them. But all those people need to get serious and remember why anything about Notre Dame matters at all. Why those degrees matter, why it's a worldwide brand matters, why the guys who graduate from here make a lot of money, why all the academics, none of it would ever matter like it does if it wasn't for the success of football. To turn your back on that now, it offends me to my core. So I don't know what else to say. We'll see where Notre Dame pivots, and it better be good because you teed yourself up for criticism. Let me know what you think.